Welcome back. Now, with wage growth in Australia at record lows, many people across the country haven't had a raise in years. Now, if you're one of them, listen up.
Our next guest has the secret to convincing your boss to boost your salary in just 5 simple steps. Careers expert Karen Gately joins us now. Good morning, Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Good morning.
Most people are terrified to ask their employer for a pay rise.
Yes.
Why do we find it such an intimidating thing to do?
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. Most of us do, and the reasons range from what happens if somebody actually thinks that that's an unreasonable request. What happens if they say no? What happens if I actually muck this up and ruin my chance to actually ask again?
If it has the opposite effect.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
exactly right.
Are there 5 steps for this? 5 easy steps?
Yeah, absolutely. In my view, it starts by actually putting your hand up. You know, if you don't actually ask, you don't get. It's then about having clear expectations. So what's the outcome that you want to actually create through that conversation? And then it's about understanding the value of your role. So clearly there's going to be a range of pay that any employer is going to be willing to pay for that job. And then what's your value add? So, you know, what's your level of experience and what can you ultimately add to the employer? And once you know all of that, then you're able to argue with reason and put your case forward.
So argue with reason, not emotion.
Yeah, I think
not personal circumstance. You
Yeah.
can't say I'd like a pay rise because my rent has gone up.
That's right.
So
That's
it's
right.
arguing with reason.
I think it's critical that you depersonalise it and understand that the employer, whilst they might have empathy, is not necessarily going to make pay decisions.
Yes.
Because your lifestyle's been impacted or your rent's gone up. So
Let's
think about value add.
There's one there, don't threaten to resign.
These are the
that's
things not to do,
That
yeah?
ultimatum of going and going,
Yeah.
this is it, I need this pay rise, otherwise I'm out of here.
That's
Unless,
right.
of course, you've got a great offer on the table.
Exactly right. Look, I think threatening anybody, becoming emotional, personalising, as we're saying, is not going to help. So, yeah, avoid taking that stance.
Okay, but Karen, what if you have done everything right and your boss still says no?
Yeah.
What then?
Well, contemplate whether or not you believe that's reasonable. Some employers are not in a position to pay more, for example, and if you happen to be working with someone that can't give you more, then you need to honestly contemplate whether you need to move on or whether there are other ways that you can supplement your income if staying with that employer really matters to you.
Should you be honest with yourself too? I mean, if you're one of these people who's like, I'm breezing through this job, hey, you know what, I'm going to ask for a raise. You know,
Yeah.
should you really think, well, maybe I shouldn't, or I should probably try and do some higher achieving things in my job to deserve that raise?
Exactly. So it all starts with your expectations. You know, have you really earned that? Have reasonable expectations that reflect your value add.
Karen, just one question before we go. If your company is in a position to give you a pay rise for one reason or another, staff freeze, budget freeze, whatever, how long should you wait before you try again?
Look, I think in most cases 6 to 12 months is going to be considered reasonable. I think if you're knocking on the door every couple of months, the employer might actually become frustrated with that.
Right.
But again, it all depends. If you feel that you are being grossly underpaid relative to market, then do your research. It may, with better information, make sense to
Should you, just as an adjunct to that, should you say, look, can I come back in 6 to 12 months and show you what I've done in this past 12 months and show that I'm worthwhile for getting this raise or you know, moving up in the company?
Yeah, I think that's a smart strategy. You know, understand what the employer has said to you, go and find those experiences, the skills, whatever it is, and then come back and demonstrate that.
Value add.
That value add.
Karen,
Thank you,
good to see you.